What is up? Welcome to episode 35, AYS Fight Club here on the Are You Serious Sports Network. Follow, do our little housekeeping here at the beginning. Give us a follow on Twitter, AYS Fight Club. It's AYS underscore Fight Club on Twitter. Let's talk fighting all the time. We don't have to do it just 1 hour a week here on Thursday. Let's do it every day. Every day is a fight day. It's a beautiful thing about the combat sports game. It's every day. Every day, no off season. Also, subscribe to the Are You Serious Sports on the YouTube, AYS Sports. Can't catch us on Facebook, catch us on YouTube, catch us on the other platforms that we're on. Now, let's get to business. Last week, UFC Vegas 29. So we'll do a little review of that, talk about a couple of key points. We'll preview this week's coming UFC Vegas 30, and then also we'll mainly focus on AKA 16, which is going to be in Shreveport, Bossier City, on tomorrow. The prelims start at 5:30, which those will be seen on the AKA Fights Facebook page, and then at 7 o'clock the main card starts, which will be on UFC Fight Pass. So that'll definitely be huge, something definitely to check out. But before all that, let's go ahead and talk about the Vegas 29 card. We'll just start at the bottom of the main card and work our way up here. Opening fight on the main card. Matt Brown showing he still got the pop. Like they say, the last thing to go is the power. And that's always been Matt Brown's thing is having that pop at whatever weight class he was fighting at. Diego Lima, tried to play a conservative game, knowing that Brown can still have that power to end it at any time. So the second round, Matt Brown was able to do his thing, get the big knockout, and it says, how does that look at 40? So, it's looking good. Heavyweights, they seem to be an older age than most other weight classes because, as they say, the last thing to go is power. Smaller weight classes are more known for speed and things like that, footwork. That's always the first thing to go. So they kind of age out of the sport a little bit faster than the bigger guys do. So, so for Matt Brown, who's been a power guy, that's going to give him a longevity compared to many of his other, co-division fighters. He leans on his power so much. So definitely a big win for Matt Brown. And then the guy I was talking about before, I'm still going to keep, raving about him. Just definitely a guy I told y'all need to keep an eye on. Bruno Silva, scores the first round knockout against Wellington Turman. Bruno Silva is definitely a dangerous fighter. He's going to be a beast at middleweight. He's just one of those guys you need to keep an eye on, especially if you do fantasy. He's definitely a guy to keep your eye on. I write it for Roto Baller and do a lot of DraftKings coverage. And man, that's definitely a guy you need to keep an eye on before his salary starts going through the roof. Start him as much as you can now while you can get the benefit from it. And then moving on up, Sung Woo Choi got the knockout on Julian Erosa in the first round. Erosa had been looking good since he came back to UFC. I think he had left the organization for one fight, looked good. The UFC brought him back. He was looking good, but then Choi just lit him up with the knockout in the first round, move him to 10-3. It was a big win for him, and a guy who needed a big win, Marlon Vera gets the decision over Davey Grant. Kind of something we thought would happen. Vera is just so skilled, and it's definitely something that we saw coming, but Davey Grant just falls to 11-5, so he's still got a very solid record, but definitely something Marlon Vera needed after the loss to Jose Aldo, the big win off of Sean O'Malley. Definitely he needs to piggyback off that O'Malley win as much as possible, just as much name as O'Malley has made for him. It was huge for Vera to get that win in the first place. So going into the co-main event, definitely this was definitely a chance for Sergey Spivak to make a name for himself off of a big opponent. And he did that against Alexei Olenek in their unanimous decision, where Sergey got the unanimous decision win. So Sergey moves up now to 13-2. Definitely a big win. That heavyweight division, really, all you need to do is just pin together a few wins, and it gets you, moving up the ranks pretty quick. It seems like the heavyweight division always has the highest turnover. Like it's just, you always see new, fresh faces so much quicker in the heavyweight division. than other divisions. He had a loss to Marcin Tybura, and then since then he's now won 3 in a row. Before that, he had a win over Taia Tuivasa. So, a couple big wins for Sergey. We'll see what happens next. But, it's definitely a win to get a win over a veteran like Alexei, who has just been in the cage and god-awful amount of times. So 59-16. I think of his 59 wins, I think like 41 of them or 42 of them are submission wins. So, he's got more submission wins than most people get MMA fights in their whole career. So that's definitely a dangerous opponent to get in there, regardless of the age. Alexei is always going to be a dangerous competitor just because of his style and the way he fights. And then going into the main event, the Korean Zombie and Dan Ige. Zombie got the unanimous decision. Most of them was he got 4 of the 5 rounds. I think one judge gave him 3. With that first round pretty close, so Ige probably got that first round from that one judge. But regardless, either way, Zombie did enough. I think he's ranked 4th coming into this fight, and then to get the win against Dan Ige, that's huge. Especially to see what's going on in that division with Max Holloway's fight falling apart. So to see what happens, with that, but definitely, with the win against Ige, Zombie definitely has himself with those guys at the top of that division. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see, what happens from there. But he went in there, took care of business, did what he needed to do, and now he's got himself, at the top of that division, and just see from there how he gets matched up, where it goes from here for him. But we'll go ahead and jump over to the UFC Vegas 30 preview. So this is the event that's coming up Saturday. This one is also in Vegas at the Apex. We'll just start at the bottom at the main card. Just hit the high notes on each bout and kind of work our way up here. Kicking off the main card, Renato Moicano and Jay Herbert. So this is definitely going to be a big bout for both guys. Moicano, was definitely a prized prospect at one point. Even an alternate for a title fight. But since then, it's been a rough go. I think he's lost 3 of his last 4. So it's been rough for him here lately. He's 14-4-1. So of all of his losses, they've all came within the last, handful of bouts. And Jay Herbert, big in the Cage Warriors scene over in England, made his UFC debut, lost the bout, but he's going to have a lot of reach, a lot of height on Renato. Renato's last fight was a knockout loss in the first round to Rafael Fiziev, who is a dangerous striker. Jay Herbert is not as dangerous as that, but he leans a lot on his striking. And if Moicano's chin is starting to go or anything like that, or if he's hesitant from being knocked out, and it's just interesting to see how a fighter, when they get knocked out, how they respond. So we'll have to see how Moicano responds. But Herbert, as long as he keeps the pressure and lays it on him, I think he can squeak this one out. I think he can surprise Moicano and surprise a lot of people, and put his name, in a lot of UFC viewers' eyes and get the win. So that'd definitely be an interesting one. I think he'll be able to squeak by on that one and turn a lot of heads. Next, we got Nicholas Dalby and Tim Means. Dalby, this is his second stint in the UFC. First stint, he had maybe 3 or 4 bouts. He come back, he's 2-0 with a no contest. So technically, he hasn't lost. He's undefeated technically, in his second stint. So hoping to make the best of it because, normally you get that second chance, you don't get anything after that. So, he definitely needs a big win. And against somebody like Tim Means, if he can get a win over Tim Means, it's huge. Because Means has won his last 2 in a row. So he kind of flip-flopped for a while, but, he is just a veteran, to the core. This is going to be 31-12-1. It's going to be like his 44th pro fight. 2, 3, 4, 45th pro fight. So, somebody with that much experience is always dangerous, especially at the high level of the UFC, and then having that many fights under your belt. So, this is huge for Dalby for his career. And it means he's won 2 in a row. And if he wins this 3 in a row for Tim Means at this point in his career, it's huge. It could definitely point toward a resurgence if he can get 3 in a row. And we see that happen with fighters, where they hit a resurgence late in their career. If Means coming 3 in a row, hey, that's definitely going to put you in the right direction. Um, Next at featherweight, we have Andre Fili and Daniel Pineda. So two featherweights. Always fun to watch. I always enjoy watching Andre Fili. Um, I don't know offhand his last couple of fights here. Let's see. Um, Very active, 21-8. So I mean, very active fighter in his career. Coming off a loss to Bryce Mitchell. It's kind of flip flop wins and losses here lately. Um, but he's a very aggressive fighter, and there's always something to be said for a very aggressive fight. You can always have your day. Daniel Pineda has been around for a long time, 27-14. Dangerous guy's been around forever. Was in PFL for a little bit. Came to the UFC, got a big win over Herbert Burns, the brother of Gilbert Burns, and then had a loss to Cub Swanson in December. So this will be his first fight of 2021. But before that, I mean, man, very, Fury FC, which does a lot of fights in Texas. Got a win over Ray Trujillo, who I've seen fight in person a handful of times before. And to knock out Ray Trujillo in the first round says a lot because Ray's a very tough guy. He's got almost Ray Trujillo. His next fight will be his 50th pro fight. So he's got a handful of big wins on his resume. So this is definitely going to be a tough fight. I think Feely will do just enough to get the win. I don't think either guy's going to knock the other guy out. But I think Feely's going to do just enough to where he can get the win. And then we have Hani Barceles and Timur Valev at bantamweight. Hani is 16-1. It's coming in on he got solid winning streak. He hasn't lost since 2014 in RFA. So as long as he's been in the UFC, he's been unstoppable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight wins in the UFC. So one of those quiet kind of streaks at bantamweight. He's got a win over Saeed Nurmagomedov, Chris Gutierrez. He's got a win over Kurt Holloway. So those are big wins, and he's got 5 in a row. So really stringing them together. Timur Valev, not too much difference, 17-2. So pretty much at the same point as far as fights under their belt. He's on a roll too. He's only had 2 bouts in the UFC. The first one was a no contest with Trevin Jones, a right hook, ground and pound. So it must have been a neat opponent maybe. But then he got the clean win over Martin Day in February. So two in a row there. Prior to that, hadn't lost since February 2016 in World Series of Fighting. Shows you how long ago that was. World Series of Fighting, it's been through different names since then. So that shows you right there. So 2 guys who were not familiar with losing. So we'll just have to see. It's going to come down to who can implement their game plan better. I say that a lot in matchups, but this is truly it. When you have 2 guys, pretty much at the same point in their career, very similar, ways they run the table. So it's definitely going to be interesting. As far as we get here to the co-main event, very odd pairing to see this matchup. I know it's something that was kind of placed at the last second, but Ovince St. Preux at heavyweight and Tanner Boser. Both guys are good. It's not that. It's just the matchup seems weird. Like it's just to see St. Preux and Boser. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, St. Preux is very, very athletic, and going up to heavyweight against somebody like Boser who can go the distance. Like he's not gonna go to heavyweight and think, oh, I can wear this guy out. Boser is not that guy. He wins a lot of his bouts by decision, or he drags you into deep waters. That's what he does. So if St. Preux comes in thinking that's what he's gonna do, it's not gonna work that way. He's got a bout of the heavyweight. He lost St. Preux lost a split decision to Ben Rothwell last year. So, and Ben Rothwell's kind of at the end of his, so we'll just have to see here. Boser fought recently. Let me see when he last fought. I know it was recent. Yeah, he fought a couple weeks ago. He fought June 5th, so he's coming in like three after being in the octagon 3 weeks ago against Alir Latifi, where lost a split decision. Which definitely should have went Bozer's way. I didn't see it going Latifi's way. That should have been a win, but now he's got two losses in a row because he's got the Andre Arlovsky decision loss and the Latifi loss. I didn't, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Once it's ruled, that's it. But definitely didn't see him losing that. So this would be interesting. I don't, it just if it goes to the judges, I think Bozer will get it. I just don't think St. Preux will be able to do enough to someone like Bozer over 3 rounds. But I mean, he's so powerful and athletic; it's always possible he can catch him. So if it doesn't go to the judges, yes, St. Preux has a shot all day. But if they bring this one to the judges, I don't think St. Preux is going to get the nod. I just think Bozier, it's a former champion in M1. It's been in the UFC for a little while now. He knows what he needs to do to get a victory. So, we'll see. This will be an interesting one. The main event, definitely huge for it's Cyril Gagne and Alexander Volkov. Definitely huge for both guys who are both, still highly ranked. But for Cyril Gagne, who is still undefeated, very young in his career, 8-0. So very young in his career, but this guy has all the makings of being a future champion. And this guy would definitely, absolutely be a UFC champion, further down the road. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, I have no doubt it whatsoever. This man will be a champion one day. He's 31. France was a little bit behind with legalizing MMA, so it made it hard for a lot of these guys. They have to go other places to train and fight. They just legalized it in about 2 years ago at the most, maybe a year and a half ago. But he's one of those guys that's and one of France's flag bearers for MMA. He's got the win over his last 2 wins. He's got a win over Junior Dos Santos and Jurizno Rosenstruck, which is his last one, which is in February. He's also got a win over Tanner Bozer, who's fighting in the co-main event. But Alexander Volkov, he's been in that spot too. He's always been at the top. He's 33-8, so I mean he's got tons of experience. He's won 3 of his last 4. His only loss in that time frame has been to Curtis Blades, who's looking amazing right now too. He's got a win over Alistair Overeem, knocked out Overeem in the second round in February, and he's also got a second round knockout over Walt Harris in October. So that's his last 2 wins. He's got a decision win over Greg Hardy as well. But Volkanovski has always been Volkanovski. Volkov has always been, at the top and always been a huge, roadblock for anybody wanting to get to the title. And if Gagne can get a win over Volkov, this could be huge for him and huge for the heavyweight division. Like, there's a lot of ramifications on this bout that a lot of people may not see, thinking, oh, it's just a fight night card with no title in the main event. But this is just as big. It really is. So if Gagne gets the win, that's going to really shoot him up to the top. And like I said, this guy will be Cyril Gagne will be a UFC heavyweight champion at some point in his career, no doubt. How quick, we'll see that. I guess it's kind of up to him. But a win over Volkov will bolster that like tenfold. There's no doubt. So if he can get that win, that'd be huge for him. So we'll see where it goes from there. But real quick, we'll just since it's going on, we'll take a look at it. Tomorrow, there's a lot of MMA going on. Tomorrow, we got Bellator 261, PFL 6 for the 2021 season. Each year they renumber them, which, I mean, I guess that's their thing, but it makes it hard to kind of follow along with it. And then also AKA 16. So you got all that going on tomorrow. And then Saturday, you got your UFC Vegas 30 card. But we'll just hit the top couple ones here. So since the heavyweight title has been vacated right now, Tim Johnson is taking on Valentin Moldavsky for the interim title, with Ryan Bader vacating to go into the light heavyweight tournament. Because he had to vacate since the title would be held up for a while with him in the tournament. So Tim Johnson and Moldavsky are going to meet for the interim title. It's got it listed as. So, we'll have to see if whatever, I guess this all clears up. It could be Ryan Bader against whoever wins. But Johnson, since he's been in Bellator, it's 3-2. I mean, he lost his first two bouts, but then he's won 3 in a row here. He beat Tyrell Fortune and Matt Mitrione with first round knockouts in 2020, and also a split decision over Czech Congo in October. So he's got 3 wins in 2020. Maybe that's what they're banking on, is the last little run he's been on. Valentin is 5. He's won his 5 in a row ever since he's won in Bellator. He lost in Ryzen in 2016, and he's won ever since. So that looks pretty good. His last win is over Roy Nelson. That was in August, and then Javier Avila in February of 2020. So 2 wins in 2020, but also before that 3 wins in Bellator. So running on a little 5-fight win streak. So we'll have to see. It's not going to be the the fanciest of champions, but it is what they could do for right now. And then I'm sure Ryan Bader will get back in there and take care of business in heavyweight. But then the co-main event, we got Liz Carmouche and Kana Watanabe. Carmouche is UFC veteran, 15-7. Been a dangerous fighter for a long time. And then Kana is 2-0 in Bellator. Obviously she's got several fights in Ryzen and Deep. That's where Japan is huge. They have huge MMA following. Many organizations. She's part of the best organizations. She's got 1 draw. Her third bout was a draw. Everything else is a win. So she's 10-0-1. She hasn't been defeated. She's got 2 wins in Bellator right now. So this is going to be definitely her toughest test going in there with Liz Carmouche. And then Liz is, since joining Bellator, 2-0 since coming to Bellator. She lost her last UFC fight against Valentina Shevchenko in 2019, which, everybody would lose that right now. So she's got wins over Deanna Bennett and Vanessa Porto in Bellator. So, 2 people that are, on hot streaks right now in Bellator. So that co-main event definitely is interesting. Could have a lot of future title implications on that. Whoever wins, would be on a nice streak right now in Bellator. So we'll see Miles Jury, UFC veteran fighting Sydney Outlaw, who's a dangerous fighter, been with Bellator for a little while at lightweight. And then also Christian Edwards. He's 4-0 right now. Definitely dangerous fighter at 205. He's going to be on the card. So, there's definitely a lot of good, some good interesting fights. It's definitely something to keep you interested. Now we'll hit PFL real quick. It's PFL 6 of the 2021 season. So I don't know what number that would really make it. I guess it's like 3rd, 4th year PFL. I don't know. But the main event is Kayla Harrison and Cindy Dandois. So, Kayla Harrison has just been, amazing since she, come from judo with her gold medals. Just, she's 9-0 right now in MMA. Just dangerous. Cindy Dandois, 16-6. So she's got the experience edge. But against somebody like Kayla Harrison, who's just looked amazing since day one, we'll just have to see. They're going to have a lightweight contest. Co-main event has Anthony Pettis against Haush Manifo. And surprisingly for Pettis, he took a loss in his first PFL. A lot of people thought he was going to come into PFL. As soon as they saw that sign, like, oh, he's definitely going to win it. There's no doubt. But he come in and lost the first fight, in April to Clay Collard. So that was definitely, a huge shakeup right off the bat for PFL 2021. Manifo is coming in with a win. He's got a split decision win. So he's got some points over Pettis. So it's going to be huge for Pettis because you really only get about 2 fights or so. And that's to score your points before the playoffs come. So you really got to do something in your first 2 fights. The pressure is really on early. So it's really forcing a lot of these competitors to step it up and really, push it a little bit. But then the same thing, and then we got a featherweight. We got Lance Palmer and Movid Kaibalov from Russia. Palmer, the same thing, a former champion. He may have won it twice. I know for sure one, maybe twice. He took a loss also to Bubba Jenkins. So, two guys who you really thought coming in from day one in PFL, watching that first day, you would have thought, man, if anything, I'm going to put my money on Anthony Pettis and Lance Palmer. You both come out with losses. They still can, but I mean, it's a lot tougher now. But that's two guys you thought would have come in winning on day one, And Palmer in the same situation, facing a guy who's already won. He's coming in with the decision win. Mavlid is coming in with the decision win. So, it's huge for Palmer and Pettis to come in there and get wins. These are two veterans, two champions, much less veterans, but champions. So they know what they need to do to get stuff done. And then also Dennis Goldsman and Brandon Salas are going to round out the main card here. There's a handful of bouts on the prelim. This is a good bit. But normally they show it on ESPN Plus. You can catch, all this stuff here. So we'll talk about AKA 16 a little bit. I'm going to look down while I talk, which this is really a no-no, but I got to pull up the fight card. It's going to be AKA 16, which has really been going since November. I mean, as soon as COVID kind of cleared up a little bit, AKA was really one of the first ones, especially in Louisiana, to get back going and to get shows back going. And, the last couple of shows have been, full crowds and really going. This one definitely no different. They just had the weigh-ins a little bit ago. We'll just hit the card real quick. I got it right here. I had to pull it up on my phone in my emails. But there, as of right now, there's 5 fights, 5 amateur fights. So those are going to be on the Facebook page. So if you go to Facebook, type in AKA Fights on Facebook, then you can follow along and you can watch those fights. Definitely going to want to catch those, especially the main event. The main event of the prelim card could absolutely be near a top billing on their Fight Pass card. You got Dimas Chapa, who is the champion at 135, defending against Austin Swallow, the A side, Austin Swallow. And both of these guys, I've talked to both of them plenty of times before. They're both pretty much ready to turn pro. Both these guys are going to turn pro probably this year. Just two guys that are dangerous fighters. Austin's striking is just definitely on another level. Coming out of Performance Evolution, Lake Charles, he's been training at Head Kicks in MMA in Lafayette, working on his ground game a little bit. Dimas Chapa is dangerous on the ground, very dangerous. These two have fought before. So this is a chance for not only for Austin to avenge that loss, but to take home the title, which, I mean, he's been belt collecting across organizations across the Gulf Coast ever since. And he's got a different mindset, too. I've talked to Austin many times. As you know, he's been on this show, a handful of times. And we love having Austin on. He's been on more than any other guest. He's probably been on 5 times on the show. So he's definitely a Fight Club member for sure, to the T. But, just from talking to him, we can tell that his mindset has changed. It's off of more of the revenge type thing. And it's more of him proving himself, doing it for himself, doing it for, the people backing him up. So, he's got his mind geared in the right direction compared to where it's been. So he's growing, that's the definition of growth and maturity, and he's maturing as a fighter, and that's what's going to lead him into success as a pro fighter. Dimas Chapa, same thing, man. This dude's dangerous. He's like 5-0 as an amateur. Dangerous ground game, has great coaches, and just a dangerous guy on the mat, dangerous guy standing just all over, true mixed martial arts, is a dangerous guy. So, this fight is definitely going to be interesting. Like I said, it's going to be headlining the amateur portion of the card on Facebook. Man, this could definitely go. This could definitely fly off on UFC Fight Pass, no doubt. Both these guys are going to end up on Fight Pass one day somehow. Austin and Dimas are both very, very, well-spoken individuals, very dangerous fighters. Just everything you want in a fighter. So these guys are definitely it. So that fight is probably one of the fights I'm most interested in on the whole fight card. And it's on the prelims, but the whole fight card, definitely interested in that one. So I'll just run through the main card here real quick. We got Ernest Singleton Jr. from Strike Kings out of Texas at 205. He's going to take on Mario Mancales out of Soul Combat Club in Houston. So that's going to click. That's two pros that are going to kick off the main card on Fight Pass. Then at 145, we got Evan Arenado out of Elevation Fight Team and Damon Vincent out of Gladiators Academy in Lafayette. I think Damon is just turning pro. A very solid career as an amateur. I've seen him fight a couple times in person. Evan is 1-0, I think, as a pro. Just dangerous fighter, too, coming out of Elevation Fight Team. Neil Magny and all those guys out there. Just, a bunch just dangerous training partners. And then next at welterweight, we got BJ Miller from Strike Kings as well. Taking on Michael Mano from SMAA out of Shreveport. So he's definitely going to have the home crowd behind him. Michael Mano has fought several times for AKA, former AKA champion. Just a grinder. He pushes a lot of guys to decision, but he's always in control. He's one of those guys that just wears you down and tears you down and comes out on top. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see somebody like BJ Miller in there with him. So this is definitely going to be an interesting fight, especially at pro, welterweight. We'll see what can happen. Mano was a champion in amateurs for a while. So this could be big for him, if he wants to jumpstart that run, into the pro ranks. This could be huge for him. Next, we got Nicholas Horton, welterweight, fighting out of Michigan, taking on DJ Doyle, Don Doyle out of Fitness Fight Factory in Texas. It's Johnny Bedford's crew there. DJ Doyle was amazing as an amateur. Ended his career winning the welterweight amateur title, really as a lightweight. He's a smaller guy, so he held both of those titles, vacated both now to turn pro. This is one of those guys, like I was talking about earlier with Bruno Silva in the UFC. DJ Doyle is one of those guys that you need to watch right now on the regional scene. He's going to be one of those very dangerous guys that's going to grow up and, join one of these organizations one day. So get on board now and watch the development that he's going to have. So that's definitely interesting. He was supposed to have a pro fight at the last event. I think the challenger fell out about a week before. There's no way you're going to find a guy to fight DJ Doyle on the regional scene on a week notice. It's not going to happen. And then you got Nicholas Colazzo out of Travis Luter BJJ, taking on Andrew Carrington out of SMAA in Shreveport. So that's definitely another one that's going to have some local crowd noise behind it. And then the co-main event is I messaged the owner, Amber Bishop, and told her that we definitely asked if AKA had a razor company as a sponsor, because that's definitely who needed to be the bout sponsor for this bout right here. We've got Brandon Shavers out of Main Street Boxing in Texas, and then fighting Donovan Beard out of Off the Chain MMA in Arkansas. So you got Beard versus Shavers. How awesome would it be if there was a razor company that could be announced as the sponsor for this bout? It'd be classic. But we don't, and they're gonna make it a classic fight anyway. Shavers and Beard, they're gonna come in and as a co-main event, and they're gonna bring it. I've seen Beard fight before. In AKA, just a dangerous fighter. Good guy, dangerous fighter. And Shavers the same thing, dangerous fighter, and that's what makes good matchups is when you have two really dangerous guys that can bring it, and both of these guys can do that. They can both bring it. So this is definitely out of the fights on the main card. This is definitely one I'm interested in. And then the main event is Jonathan Patty from Strike Kings taking on Chauncey Foxworth from Off the Chain. You may recognize Patty's name from being on the Contender Series. So, bringing in and Chauncey Foxworth, I've always been a huge fan of him from the regional scenes for years. So that main event is looking really good too. So that main and co-main event is exactly what you want, in your main and co-main event. So off of AKA, we'll just jump to some boxing here real quick. We'll wrap it up here soon. The boxing corner here, we got just hit a couple news highlights. Just throw some news out there, see y'all where what's just a couple interesting things going on. Nico Ali Walsh is just signed to Top Rank Boxing and will make his middleweight debut coming up soon in a 4-round bout. It may not sound important right now, but he is the grandson of Muhammad Ali. So, we'll see how that goes. He's going to have that stigma, to follow him around. So, that's always interesting, something to watch out for. Uh, Also, Bob Arum claiming that Errol Spence quote, Spence knows he can't beat Crawford. Um, that's definitely a quote to him. I'm a huge Errol Spence fan. I would love to see. That's the fight in boxing that I want to see right now more than anything is Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. More than anything, even maybe in MMA. I want to see Spence and Crawford more than probably anybody in combat sports paired up. But and then Arum's claiming that Jesse Taylor will be next. So we'll see. That's just always how boxing goes. It doesn't surprise me. It's always a play for money. It's always a play for whose platform it's going to air on. It's always something like that. And Regis Progress, who is from New Orleans, he's one of our South Louisiana boxers. He wants to fight Mikey Garcia next. So, that'd be huge. Mikey Garcia has been in there with a lot of the big names, been a champion multiple times. He's fought Errol Spence. Um, so that'd be interesting. We'll see. And then, of course, we'll talk more about as it gets closer with, Deontay Wilder and Fury, that third matchup coming up, more Anthony Joshua stuff, just as things develop. But kind of, those are kind of reached out. This is just kind of stuff right now. But so we'll do This Week in MMA. Just a little segment I like to throw out some history. I'm a huge history buff, so history and MMA, put it together, and this is what we get. So on today's date in 2006, Michael Bisping won the Tough Season 3. Went on to have his Hall of Fame career, and then also on yesterday's date on June 23rd, 2007, Nick Diaz won the Ultimate Season 5. June 23rd, 2002, in Pride, Fry and Takayama had their wild fight. If you haven't seen that, just even go to YouTube and type in Fry and Takayama. And it was just crazy. They're just beating the hell out of each other in the corner, just nonstop, just exchanging blows, just nonstop. It's just wild. It's one of the wildest things you'll ever see. But it's amazing. Just one of those iconic type things. It's very pride nostalgic. And I just connect that with pride. Every time I see it. And of course, the last thing, being a huge Mike Tyson fan, on this date in 2000, 21 years ago today, he made his infamous promo about eating Lennox Lewis's heart, or the whole spiel. He's cut from the same cloth as Jack Dempsey and Sonny Liston. He's from their cloth. That whole speech, was today. So there's that there, and then for 3% Polish, our Polish MMA segment here to always close those things out. We'll just take a look here real quick at FEN 35, which is Fight Exclusive Night 35, is also Saturday, which is during the day. It's like 9-10 o'clock our time, Central Time, in the morning. So you can always catch that and then catch your UFC after is normally what I do. I love my Polish MMA. But the main thing I want to talk about is the co-main event is Adam Kowalski and Marcin Flipovac, which is at 205. Kowalski is coming off. He had a loss in his last fight, but a win here can definitely get him back on track for the title. I actually talked to him about it. He said he's learned a lot of technical mistakes that he made. Mentally, he said he felt he was good. He was in the right place, but it was just some physical things. And he's definitely working on those, and he's at the camp to do it. He trains at with Mamed Khalidov and Aslanbek Saidov, so he's at one of the best camps in Europe for sure, with some of the best training partners in the world. So Um, there's definitely, that to look out for. KSW has a card coming up. Just briefly touch on a few of that. That's not till the middle of July, July 17th. But that's definitely coming apart. Like I said last week, we talked about it. They had the main event, and now they have, like I said, they would kind of start spitting on. There's 5 already. So by the time we get back next week, they'll probably have the whole card done. Michael Molaski and Adrian Bartsniski is definitely, an interesting one. Paulo Paulito and Bruno Santos at 135. It's definitely about worth watching. Uh, Tomas Serrara making debut. So, I mean, there's definitely, some interesting bouts on here. I'll probably talk to, he's got a huge extensive kickboxing background. Tomas does. So I'll probably talk to a lot of these guys within the next week or two, and I'll relay that to y'all. Get the articles up on My MMA News, MMAsucker.com. The sites I write for. A lot of my Polish MMA goes on My MMA News. So I'll talk to a lot of these guys within the next couple of weeks and get that up, relay that to y'all. But that's gonna be it. We went about 45 minutes. I thought 30 minutes, but definitely good length here to the show. As always, back to the top here. Add us on Twitter, AYS Fight Club on Twitter, AYS underscore Twitter, underscore Fight Club on Twitter. And make sure you add us on the YouTube platform. Are You Serious Sports on YouTube at AYS Sports. Catch my show every Thursday. Catch Blake's show, the Mothership Show. Are You Serious Sports, Monday through Friday. Sometimes he does Thursday. He did one today. There was some breaking news in baseball. But, you can catch that every week, 7 p.m. Central Time. Typically Monday through Friday. Normally I'll do my show on Thursday, but he may be on there Thursday depending on what's going on. Sometimes he gets Saturday shows, so check all that out. So that's it. Next week we're back with episode 46. We'll have a review of the UFC 30. We'll talk a little bit about the Bellator and PFL if anything. We'll talk at least the main event, co-main events. If anything else pops off, we'll make sure we mention it, and we'll have a good little review about AKA 16. I'll be there cage side, so if we have any, I'll make sure to cover that, good detail. Anything else breaks off in the week, we'll make sure to cover it. But first rule of the Fight Club, as you know, tell all your friends about the Fight Club. So I'll see everybody next week.